Hello guys, welcome back! It's chapter 12, Broken Sky. Now, this chapter is meh. Overall, so-so. It does have some of the highlights of the game, but everything else about it hold it back. First verse. Tiny, cramped space against only 3 enemies, 2 affinities and an Ardor. So, prepare your torture attacks, because the combo is a bitch in this verse. One good thing is that it is fast. You can see that I'm very careful with the traversal here because I don't really want to redo that verse again. So next, the second verse of the chapter is one of its best, and also one of the best in the game. It is a triple gracious and glorious fight. It is the second one in the main game. Now, if you remember what I said during chapter 8 rap 666, then there are only 2 triple gracious and glorious fights in this game, and both of which are hampered by something. The first is a tiny area to fight them in because of the speeding car. This one is not that much bigger. This hangar door is not very wide, and you can fall off the side and take damage. The elevation doesn't help either, because it makes certain things clunky, unreliable. The rocket jump, for example, that's something I use a lot. And it forced some weird interaction, especially with the ground lightning from the electric dude. As always, try your best to kill the fire guy first to get its claw, because this verse has 2 phases, and you have to do both of them at the same time. There are no checkpoint in the middle. So another bad thing about this verse is that it's not just the triple GG boy fight. There are 3 flaming Ardors afterward. It's not that difficult, but if you get damaged in any way here, maybe you hit into a fire, then you have to do the 3 GG boy again, which is a royal pain in the ass there. Getting it done once is good. Getting it done twice, oh my god, is a bit of a pain. Or rather, is really, really annoying. So you can see I'm being very careful here. I do not want to redo the previous phase. It took a lot of tries to get that one done in the first place, you know. Now that there's only 1 guy left, shoot him to extinguish the fire and juggle him to his death. Torture attacks to cap it off. So next verse is hidden. You got to go all the way back. And this verse is again against a bunch of regular enemy, albeit they're on fire. 4 affinity and then an Ardors. It's pretty bad. It's boring as hell. That is a problem with this chapter. It's consistently meh, except for for 3 verses that makes it a little better. But overall, every other fight are shit. This is the second good verse of this chapter, out-of-body battle. A bit annoying, a little bit more annoying than the previous one, because most of the regular enemies here, the affinities and outdoors, are all on fire. Coupled with the fact that you can't juggle, because you have to use Gaze of Despair. Well, you don't have to, but there's not really any reason not to. Having to pay attention to your body as well is not a fun thing. It's not a good time, you know. Anyway, you can't juggle. There are fire. It is a bit more difficult because you have to pay attention so that you don't actually hit them. But overall, it's still an out-of-body battle. Basically, a regular fight. So it's good. Nothing to really complain other than nitpicks, really. That's done with. Now, another bad thing about the chapter is stupid checkpoint. The next two verse has no checkpoint. So if you take damage and you have to reset in any of those two verses, you have to start all the way from the Alfheim over there, run through the Jeanne weaves and do all of this again, which is weird and really stupid, unintuitive. I don't know why they can't just put a checkpoint right there. It's a shit verse against those decoration. And cut. So, you go into this wind tunnel thingy for another hidden verse. Now, the gimmick of this verse is that you're constantly being sucked into the fans. The best way to deal with this fight right here is to just stay at the first segment, because then you don't have to worry about the fan at your back. If you go deeper in, there will be a fan in front and a fan behind. Probably gonna get hit. So just stay over here. And this is a fight full of basic enemies, affinities and with claw, which means torture attacks are your friends. Oh, of course, if you fail the combo, by the way, I think you can reset fast enough, but as I said before, you have to start all the way from the start of the chapter, back where the Alfheim is, and have to do this shitty verse against the decoration again. Oh, while going into the Alfheim at the end there, remember to smash all the fans. Otherwise, your life will be miserable later. Okay, next Alfheim is absolute trash. It is used witch time, of course. As always, it's shit, but it's against Jeanne. The best place to fight Jeanne is in Alfheim, but they did put a Jeanne here. But what did they do to her? They make it a use witch time Alfheim. It completely invalidates the fight itself. Oh yeah, and they're lazy enough to put in the Jeanne on the second phase of the fight on chapter 14, where she has this attack where she calls down the rocket. Here, this Jeanne still tries to do that, but there's no rocket coming. As you can see, it's just so lazy. They could have just put the Jeanne at the final phase of that same fight, where she doesn't try to pull down any rocket. Well, whatever. And this is the reason why you have to smash the fans before going to the Alfheim, because if you don't, every time you reset this Jeanne fight, you have to deal with the fans again, and you will have to reset this fight a lot. And the fans aren't already dead, you will hate your life. This fight, now, the best Jeanne fight in the game, in the main game, bar none, I would say. The camera ain't the best, it's still wobbly because the plane wing where you fight her on itself is wobbly. But it's not that bad, it's nowhere near the level of annoyance from, say, the rocket phase in the chapter 14 fight, or the rock phase in the chapter 5 fight. Overall, this is a good fight, and as I said, the best. The gimmick with her here is that her second phase is on this bike. Now, she becomes a lot easier on the bike. It's not that bad though. You get to hit her very easily, which feels kind of good every now and then. And it's sandwiched between two regular fights, so this part actually feels very good to, satisfying. So the worst part about this fight is the start of the third phase, where it goes into the water and it's all stormy. The rain and the waves come up and obscure your vision. It's pretty cheap, if I do say so myself. The start of the third phase, you really can't see shite. That's why I spam Wicked Weave on her there, just to keep her stun locked while the eye blocker goes away. Otherwise, the third phase becomes the first phase again. And I did pretty well on this one, if I do say so myself. I played better than I usually do. The chapter should have ended there, right? It should have just ended there, but no. There are two more fights. Two more absolutely trash verses. The first is a 3-part verse against 2 Ardors and a few harmonies. Now, this is the problem that plagued this chapter from beginning to end. It has 2 of the best verses in the game. One pretty good Alfheim, that's pretty among 10 verses. All other 7 verses are absolute garbage. They either have shit enemies or shit gimmick, or both. It could have been so great, and yet it has so many things wrong. Just wrong. And finally, a flaming Ardor. I failed the afterburner kick again. That was embarrassing. So, onward to the next verse. The final verse. Is garbage. Yes, it is garbage. This verse is against a bunch of harmony. Also kind of a race against time because the water is constantly raising. If it reach your little girl here, you basically lost the verse. You can't really pick her up anymore, and if you keep fighting, you will lose because she will die. She dies pretty quickly. That's why the Gaze of Despair is actually very useful in this verse. Other than the combo benefit, obviously, it also has another use, that is, the harmonies, when spawning, will spend quite a bit of time to rage, during which you can put a bit more distance between the little girl and the water, giving you more time to deal with the harmonies. It's not terribly necessary, but it can help a lot. That's that. Walk to the end of the road and the chapter is done. Here I'm setting up the loadout for the next boss fight. That is it. That is the end of the chapter. With a pure platinum. Almost a good one. Almost a good chapter. It's still great for the Jeanne fight, but otherwise, yeah. So, next chapter is 13. That's yet another giant boss fight. The next boss is quite annoying. Well, see you guys next time. Bye bye.